So yeah, welcome again if you've just joined us here at the London Buddhist Center. My name is Danayutta, and I'm here with Polly today. And the theme of this yoga class is yoga for cultivating energy. So this is the kind of class that you might want to do if you can't be bothered, if you feel a little bit meh, if your energy is a little bit low, if you're feeling a little bit depressed about the lockdown or the weather, and you just think, I can't really be bothered to practice any yoga. This is the class for you. So just to say first off, if you're feeling low energy, if you're feeling down, it's totally okay. I think a lot of yoga practitioners are finding it hard to practice in this particular situation, to practice on their own day after day after day. So that's totally okay. It's okay to find practice hard at the moment. And then the other thing to say is just to see if you can keep to a routine. So as much as possible, just try to keep to a routine. You know, if it's your routine to practice yoga every morning and you just think, I can't do an hour and a half of yoga today, don't worry, just do 5 minutes. And then the other thing that I do, particularly when I just feel like I just can't do the whole thing, is I just think, yes, but I can do the next breath. And then I'll just see if I can take the next breath and then just do the next breath. So do the just take the next breath practice. And then the third thing I was thinking about, what would really help us cultivate energy, I thought is to create a bit of a ritual around the starting of your yoga practice. And it also works for meditation, by the way, create a little bit of a ritual. So here at the Buddhist Center, most of us start our meditation practice, our yoga practice, by saluting the shrine or saying some verses, giving a little Dharma talk or reading a little bit of Dharma. And I often recall the names of my teachers. I just thought I'd get Polly to share with you a little link. You might not want to click on it now, but it's to a chant. It's to the Bon Jovi chant. And it's really, really nice. It's this woman who has a YouTube channel and she teaches Sanskrit chanting. And I came across one of her videos a few years ago where she was encouraging all of us to put our hands together. So you might want to do this now as well. Like when you put your hands together like this, you can do a namaste or you can interlace your fingers and you hold your hands like this. And then you start chanting the chorus of Living on a Prayer. So you might want to do that now. I'm not very good at singing, but you might just want to do this all together with me. And we'll just do it once and we'll end with an Om, just as a way of a little ritual to start off our yoga practice. So, oh, we're halfway there. Oh, living on the prayer, take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. Oh, living on the prayer. Oh. Good. I hope you joined in. I hope you enjoyed that. What we're going to do today is we're going to start by lying down. So we'll lie down for about 2 or 3 minutes, just tuning into our energies. So get into semi-supine position with your feet flat on the floor, have your knees up, arms down by your sides, turn your palms to face the ceiling and roll your shoulders down and back. So hopefully that little opening chant, that little Bon Jovi chant has woken you up a little if you were feeling low energy. And as you relax back, with your feet flat on the floor, with your knees up, see if you can just find the weightiness of the body. So start from a broad base of weightiness. And just notice how you are now. What energy level do you have now? And what's the quality of the energy? If you're not quite sure, don't worry. Just take a few deeper, longer, slower breaths. And then let's just start to move. So what we're going to do is just to rock our pelvis forwards and back. So you breathe in and press your tailbone onto the floor, breathe out and press your lower back onto the floor. So rocking the pelvis forwards and back, inhale, tailbone on the floor, exhale, lower back on the floor. Breathing in, tailbone on the floor, breathing out, lower back on the floor. Just making this movement a couple more times, synchronizing the movement with your breath. And then what you can do is also to see if you can just windscreen wipe your knees from side to side. So we're just introducing a little bit of twisting in the lower back. Knees over to one side, back to center, over to the other, just making sure that the shoulders stay on the ground. Okay, and then hug your knees into your chest. Good, rock from side to side. So I'm just going to do the class assuming that your energy is a little bit lower than you normally would have. And what you want to do if your energy is low is just to rock from side to side. Start with sort of slower, more smaller movements, and then gradually build up the energy of the practice. So circling your knees now. And then let's circle the knees the other way. Circling the knees away from each other. So just gentle, mindful, deliberate movements, tuning into the energy that you have, and also starting to raise it. So we're going to come into happy baby posture, Ananda Balasana. So lifting your feet up towards the ceiling, holding onto your ankles, and just continue rocking from side to side. I often find if I'm a little bit tired, just starting a little bit closer to the ground helps a lot. Most yoga practices have a shape that's a little bit like a bell. So you sort of start more slowly and then gather your energy. And if your energy is low anyway, you probably need to spend a little bit more time in that starting bit. Okay, one more little stretch lying down. So bringing your feet together, drawing your feet close to your groin, your knees apart, so your hands are between your legs, holding onto your feet, and just taking a stretch in your hips, moving your knees away from each other. Okay, hug your knees together again, and let's just rock forwards and back, rolling up towards sitting. And just do this a couple of times. So rocking back, sitting up, balance on your bottom, rocking back, and sitting up, balancing on your bottom. And then let's just do one more. And we'll come into half Navasana. So having your feet off the floor, knees close to your chest, shins parallel. I'm just going to take my kesa off here. And then if you're feeling a little bit like your energy is coming up, you might just want to straighten your legs. Don't worry, no one really likes practicing Navasana. Okay, let's just come onto our hands and the knees now. So onto your hands and knees. Let's do some cat-cow. So soft, gentle, mindful movements. Breathing out and really lifting the spine, tucking the head in, tucking the tailbone in, breathing in, arching the back, lifting the tailbone, lifting the chin. Just keep going, moving, breathing, exhaling, inhaling, tucking your head in, tailbone in, moving at the pace of your own breath. Let's just do a couple more. And then let's settle back into child's pose for a moment just to take a little shoulder stretch. So forehead onto your yoga mat. If you can, sit all the way back onto your heels. Reach your arms forwards, taking a stretch down your shoulders, down either side of the spine. Long, deep breathing. Breathing in, stretching your fingers a little bit further away, breathing out. Okay. Coming back to hands and knees, tuck your toes under, and let's take a downward dog. So first downward dog of the day for some of us. You might just want to spread your fingers. Don't worry if your hamstrings are a little bit tight. You might want to bend your knees. That's okay. Or if you're feeling a little bit more flexible, straightening out the backs of your legs. Grounding your heels, spreading your fingers. And then let's just come back into child's pose for a moment. It's a different kind of stretch through the shoulders, walking your hands forwards, breathing in, dropping your breastbone towards the ground, dropping your chest towards the ground, walking your fingers a little bit more forwards. Okay, back onto your hands and knees. Let's just come into downward dog again. So trying to find a level of movement that matches your energy. And what we'll do in a moment is we'll do some warrior ones, just stepping into warrior one for a breath or two. So when you're ready, step your right foot forwards, coming up into warrior one, breathing in, reaching up, make a big shape, and then come back to downward dog. So hands on the ground, taking the right foot back into downward dog, left foot forwards now, breathing in. So it's just sweeping the arms up, making a big shape. Big stretch, and then hands on the floor, just taking a step back to downward dog. Let's do that twice more on each side. So right foot steps forwards, back heel comes all the way down, the back leg straight and the front legs bent. Breathe in here, reach up, and then hands back down. Taking a step back. Left foot. Inhale as you sweep your arms up, breathing in, reaching up. Make a big shape and exhale, hands on the floor, taking a step back. One more time on the right side. Breathe in as you reach your arms up. Breathe out as you bring your hands down, stepping back to downward dog, and then other side. Last one on the left side. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. Just taking a step back to downward dog now, and then bring your right foot forwards. Pop your left knee down. You can just double your mat over. What we're going to do is we're going to spend a little bit of time in the low lunge, just moving the hips from side to side. So just bringing the energy down again, moving the hips, twisting the hips from side to side, stretching out any tightness in the hip flexors. So I don't know about you, but I'm spending a lot of time on Zoom and a lot of time on screen. And I sit down to use my computer and just feel like the front of my hips really, really enjoy being stretched out these days. Mainly because they're so often not in this position. I stand so little and sit so much, So just moving the hips from side to side, twisting the hips from side to side. What you should feel is a long stretch down the front of your left leg. Let's see if you can notice that. And then you may or may not be able to come a little bit closer to the floor. So you bring your right arm onto the inside of the right knee. You might be able to pop your elbows down on the ground, or if you've got your props to hand, you might just need to pop your elbows onto your props. So keep bending your right knee, keep dropping the hips downwards and forwards, just a stretch through the front of the left thigh, front of the left hip. Remember to breathe. Okay. Let's just change over to the other side. So you might want to step back into downward dog, or you might just want to change sides. Either's fine. And then just popping the side of your mat over, a little bit of extra padding for your right knee. Make sure that your left foot's far enough forward so that your heel can stay on the ground. And then spend a little bit of time here just twisting the hips from side to side. And what you're looking for is a stretch down the front of the right thigh. So just stretching down the front of the right thigh. So as you move from side to side, just really notice what the stretch in the hip is like. So the actual texture of the stretch and how it changes as you move your hips. I think I'm particularly tight on my right hip at the moment, particularly in the back of the hip. So I can really feel it around the back. But that's an unusual feeling. You might feel it if you've got like a little back injury. Okay, and then just bringing your left shoulder onto the inside of your left knee, coming closer to the ground if you can. Elbows on the floor, otherwise elbows on some props. Either's fine. And just deepening the forward bend in the stretch. Remember to breathe. Very, very easy to hold onto the breath, and that won't really help us. So you might want to imagine breathing space and breathing in and creating some space in your hips. Breathing out and softening. Breathing in and creating some space. Breathing out and softening. Just take another breath here. Okay, really good. So, coming back to downward dog, hands on either side of your left foot, just take a step back to downward dog. And let's do some standing postures where we stay in the postures for a little bit. So we'll just come back to our good friend Warrior One, right foot steps forwards, left heel on the ground. And just stay in Warrior One for a few breaths. See if you can lift the chest and look up between our hands. One of the things that I notice about myself when I've got low energy is that I want to hold the chest in. So looking up in Warrior One, I think helps us open the chest, lifting the chest up towards the ceiling. This makes a sense of energy and bigness, yeah? Cultivates a sense of energy and bigness. Okay. And then bring your hands down. Just take a step back. Left foot steps forwards now. And just stay in Warrior One. Breathing. So again, look up between your hands if you can. Just really notice what's happening in the chest. Let the chest lift up towards the ceiling, giving the chest a chance to open up. Breathing and breathing. Good. Hands down. Just take a step back to downward dog. And then right foot steps forwards, coming into Warrior Two. By the way, if you don't have particularly strong wrists and you find coming into downward dog quite difficult throughout this class, you can just change sides. You don't have to come through downward dog. I think my main reason for coming through downward dog is this thing of cultivating energy, but you don't have to do that at the expense of your wrists. You can always just change sides. And just breathe in Warrior Two. Again, have a sense that your chest is expanding here. So particularly if you tend to be hunched over a computer, just make a big shape with your chest, broad shoulders. Yeah, as if you were like a 90s model with shoulder pads. Okay, hands down. Take a step back, left foot. Okay, so Warrior Two, other side. So again, really noticing what your chest is like. And see if you can cultivate a sense that you've got a broad chest, an open chest. So it's not about sticking your rib cage out, but just being broad and open. So you're not tight and closed. And what you're trying to do is just cultivate a sense of energy through that. Remember to breathe in Warrior Two. Okay, good. Hands down. Again, if you want to, taking a step back through downward dog, right foot forwards this time. And let's come into Parsvakonasana. So, left arm comes up and over. And just breathing in Parsvakonasana. Last week, when I was teaching the class on how to deal with anxiety, I was talking about making big shapes. I think it's the same thing, when you've got low energy. I think making bigger shapes tends to lift the energy, tends to stretch out our energy a little. So really noticing the left side of your body. And then just come all the way up for a moment. So don't come through downward dog. We're going to come into Parsvakonasana again. So bend your right knee again. Left arm comes up and over. We're going to move the arm. So windmilling the arm, left arm comes up and over. Little pause in Parsvakonasana position. Breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in. 2 more. We'll do this 5 times all together. And in, and out, and in. Really good. So come all the way up. Right foot turns in, left foot turns out. Other side, so bend your left knee quite a lot. Right arm comes up and over. So the first part of the Konasana will just stay here, making a long shape with the right side of the body. So don't worry too much about putting your left hand on the floor today. Really, really notice the outer edge of your right foot. And then all the way up your right leg, up the right side of the body, all the way up the right arm to the fingertips. Long shape. Remember to breathe. Just take another breath here. And then come all the way up. Good. Rest your thigh a little bit. And then bend your left knee again. So coming back into Parsvakonasana, this time we'll move the arm. So exhaling and inhaling. Exhaling and inhaling. And exhaling and inhaling. Exhaling. Okay, last one, breathing out. And just pause a little at Parsvakonasana. And then come all the way up. We're just going to do a couple more standing postures before we come back into downward dog. So coming into Trikonasana, we'll stay on the left side. So bringing your left hand down onto your shin. Right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. So noticing the stretch in the right hip. If that's where you feel the stretch. Noticing the stretch in the backs of the legs if that's where you feel the stretch. Remembering to breathe in Trikonasana, having a sense of being broad through the chest. And then coming all the way up. Left foot turns in, right foot turns out. Straightening both legs, right hand on the shin, left arm reaches up. So Trikonasana looks like a slightly smaller shape than Parsvakonasana. It's a different kind of sideways bend. But I think you can still feel the sense of breadth in the chest and the length of the legs and the stretch in the hip, particularly your left hip. So just feeling into the energy of the posture. Taking another 2 breaths here, remembering to breathe, looking up towards your left hand if you can. Okay, hands down on the floor, bend your right knee. Everyone just take a step back to downward dog. If you're feeling like that's enough downward dog, you can always just come into child's pose for a moment or two. Whether you're in child's pose or you're in downward dog, see if you can stretch out your lower back. So sometimes all it needs is just a little bit of imagination. Imagine breathing in to your lower back. Imagine the lower back lengthening out and broadening out. Okay, really good. So come onto your knees. We're going to do a little bit of back bending today. And we're going to start on our knees. So what you need to do is just to fold over the front of your mat twice. I'm always really, really careful with my knees. Partly because I've got a knee injury on my right knee, but I always think like everyone should be careful of their knees, you know. Hopefully, like you're doing yoga doesn't injure your knees. And I often make sure that when I'm kneeling on the ground, I pad the knees up quite a bit. So folding the mat over at least twice and just making sure that your knees are slightly wider than hip width apart. What we're going to do is a little bit of preparation for Ustrasana. So hands on the hips. Really make sure that you're engaged in the front of your belly Lift the chest and look up towards the ceiling. And think about length. So don't worry too much about dropping back for the first one. Just think about length. Lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Breathe and breathe. And then sit back onto your heels for a moment. Okay, so that's the preparation. What you're trying to look for is a sense of length and strength through the core of your body. I think often, particularly people who have a kind of flexible and weak lower back, tend to just sort of flop into the position. And what you end up doing is just eventually hurting your lower back. So what you're looking for is a sense of lengthening before you drop back. So let's try it again. If you want to, you can just stay there, lifting the chest, engaging the belly. Or if you want to, you can lift the chest even more. Drop your shoulders back. See if you can take your hands back to your heels. Find your heels. Lift the chest again, and then look up towards the ceiling. Just take another breath here. And then come all the way up, hands on your hips as you inhale, and then sit back. Sometimes the sitting back isn't quite enough. You actually need to come into child's pose just to stretch out your lower back again. So really only work to what you're comfortable with. We'll come back into Ustrasana again, but before we do that, I just want to show you one more thing, which I think really helps with developing the strength to do back bending, which is making Z shapes. So this doesn't actually come from the yoga tradition. It comes from Pilates. Some of you know that I've been really super enjoying Pilates classes in the lockdown. And the idea with this particular exercise is that you make a Z shape, and you're looking for a connection from your knees to your shoulders. So just making one straight line from your knees to your shoulders. So engage the front of the body, and then you drop back with your hands at shoulder level, and then come all the way back up. So you breathe in, and then you breathe out. So just doing this a few times, just making a Z shape, taking your shoulders back, keeping the engagement through the front of the body. Good. And hopefully you'll find a little bit more strength in the belly. So you're going to do Ustrasana one more time. Again, just work to your own level. If you want to bring your hands to your heels, great. If you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. So lifting the chest, looking up towards the ceiling. You might just want to stop here, or dropping your hands back. And then you might or might not want to do this, but you can also drop your head back and look behind you. Breathing, breathing, and breathing. Really good. Coming all the way up on an inhale. Exhale into child's pose. Okay. So come onto your hands and your knees. You might just want to unroll the front of your mat. What we're going to do is some kneeling down twists. So just make sure that your hands are an appropriate distance from your knees, so not too close together. And as you come into the kneeling down twist, make sure that your shoulders don't come too close to your knees. Yeah? So you keep the length in the spine. Try not to hunch the spine over. Still this thing of making big and long shapes, breathing into the rib cage, and try to keep your hips as level as possible. And then let's go the other way. So shoulders not too close to the knees, keeping the length in the spine, breathing deeply into the rib cage. Okay, and then inhale, coming all the way up. Good. Legs out in front of you. Let's do some seated postures. First of all, let's do a forward bend with bent knees. So allow your knees to be bent. You can have your feet flopping apart. And just do a simple forward bend, kind of like a hunched over forward bend. Let your head grow heavy. Legs are a little bit bent. Knees are a little bit apart. So a floppy forward bend that goes into your lower back and into your hips. Don't worry about straightening the legs and stretching out the backs of the legs. And then on your next inhale, come all the way up. We'll do straight leg forward bends with one leg at a time. So tuck your right knee in. We're going to come into Janu Shirshasana. See if you can turn your chest so that you're facing your left leg and that your left foot's engaged and your toes are lifting up towards the ceiling. And just really think about the left leg as you come into the forward bend. The back of your leg is as long as possible, dropping the back of the knee down towards the ground as much as it will go, drawing your toes back towards your head. And then the other side. So tucking your left foot in, straightening out the right leg, lifting the toes on the right foot, folding into a forward bend. Okay, and then inhale, come all the way up. Come back to the ground now. So just coming back to this thing of a yoga class being a kind of bell-shaped in terms of energy. So I'll start low, you lift the energy up, and then towards the end of the practice, you bring the energy down again. That's what we're doing now. We'll just do a few simple postures lying down. So tuck your right knee in, straighten your left leg out in front of you. And then you may or may not be able to straighten your right foot up towards the ceiling. You can do several things here. You can hold on to the back of your thigh. You can hold on to your ankle. You can hold on to your foot if you can reach it. See if you can relax your shoulders down towards the back, down towards the ground. Shoulders back into their sockets. Arms back into their sockets. And then take your left arm out to the left. Just anchor the left side of the body on the ground. Take your right leg out to the right, holding on to the thigh or the calf. Legs as straight as possible. And try not to roll over so that your left hip lifts off the ground. See if you can just maintain the energy through the left side so that the left leg stays on the ground. The left side of your bottom stays on the ground. So for some of us, this will be an exercise in flexibility and stretching. And then for those of us who are more flexible, it's an exercise in strength and keeping the left side on the ground. And then we'll just change over other side. So hug your left knee into the chest. Just give it a little squeeze. And then hold on to the back of the left thigh. Hold on to the back of the left calf. Or hold on to your left foot, just drawing your left leg towards your face a little bit more. Or towards the ceiling a little bit more. Relaxing your shoulders down your back. Arms back into their sockets as much as possible. And just breathing. Keeping the right side engaged. And then when you're ready, taking your right arm out to the right, keeping strength and energy down the right side. Take the left leg out to the left. So don't worry at all if the left leg's in the air. It probably will be. So for some of us, it's a stretch in the left side. And for some of us, it'll be just cultivating strength through the right side, keeping the right leg on the ground, the right hip, the back of the right hip on the ground. Okay. All right. Hug your knees into the chest again. Both legs. Relaxing your shoulders, relaxing the back of your neck, so you might just need to tuck your chin in. We'll do one more little stretch lying down. So see if you can cross your right thigh over your left thigh. So it's quite important that you cross at the thighs, not at the ankles. And then draw both knees into the chest. You may or may not want to walk your hands down your legs towards your ankles and then move your feet away from each other and out to the sides. The back of your hips, your pelvis will lift off the floor. Don't worry if that happens. And then the other side. So again, it's really, really important that you cross at the thighs, not at the ankles. Hug your knees into the chest. Walk your arms down your legs towards your ankles. And just very, very gently draw your feet apart. Okay, so one big stretch before we do a bit of Shavasana. Reach your arms back behind you. Stretch your legs forward. Breathe in. And breathe out, relaxing. Breathe in, big stretch. Breathe out and relax. Breathe in, big stretch. Point your toes, stretch your fingers. And breathe out and relax. So you might want to cover yourselves with a blanket. We'll be staying in Shavasana for a little bit longer than you might be used to in a YouTube class. So we'll be staying in Shavasana for about 5 minutes or so. Taking your arms down by your sides, turning your palms to face the ceiling. And as you come into Shavasana, as you let all the movements settle into stillness, see if you can continue to have a sense of the amount of energy available in the body, and also the quality of energy. One of the traditional images for energy that's blocked or stuck, that's a bit stagnant, one of the traditional images for that kind of energy is water that's turbid, that's muddy, that's obscured. What we can do in Shavasana is just to be completely still and let all the mud, all the obscurations just settle to the ground. Leaving energy, leaving water that's clear and bright and clean. So see if you can cultivate that image Water that's bright and sparkling and clean, fresh and not stagnant. Water that's moving, water that's bright, limpid. One of the reasons why we might want to work with our low energies, our anxious energies, our irritable energies, so that we can be a resource for the world, a resource for others. When we're in a can't be bothered mood, an anxious mood, or an irritable mood, we oddly focus on ourselves in ways that aren't helpful. So always keep in mind a higher purpose, being able to meet the world with wisdom, a clear mind, and compassion, and open heart. So when you're ready, you might just want to roll over onto your side, wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, and just find yourself in a seated position. You might want to sit cross-legged, sit in meditation position. And we'll just end by cultivating a sense of purpose for practice, in a way dedicating what we've done, dedicating our efforts, dedicating any sort of fruits of our efforts. And I always feel like I can never really practice for myself. It never quite seems worth it. But if I think of other people and the effect my practice has on other people, I always feel like much more motivated. So we'll just do that for the last couple of minutes. You might want to close your eyes, sitting up, being broad through the shoulders and the chest. Recalling your teachers and your parents, people who have guided you, nurtured you, taught you. You might want to recall the people who you live with, the people who you work with, your friends who you're in close contact with, as well as the friends who you're not in close contact with. Your friends who are in need of care and attention, and those who lead successful, fulfilled lives. People who you walk past or live next to who you don't see. And all the people who sustain your life. Just dedicating your practice. So that's the end of the class today. I really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed practicing with all of you. So, here at the London Buddhist Centre, we try our best to make our teachings freely available. Sometimes we run things that are paid for, and most of the time we run things that are completely free, completely accessible to people. At the same time, it does take money to run a center like this, even if we're closed. So, if you can help us out by making a donation, that would be wonderful. When we've been teaching live with people in the room, a class like this for 45 minutes, we would normally ask a suggested donation of £6. So if you don't already give regularly to the London Buddhist Centre, see if you could take out a standing order. Um, and also really do support the work that we do. What often really helps is people sort of telling other people about the London Buddhist Centre. So you can do that as well. So it's been lovely practicing with you, and Polly and I are probably going to sign off now, and hopefully see you again soon. Bye. Bye.